Hello, welcome back. My name is Aladino, and together with my wife Maya, we are refitting a Cape George Cutter 36. We have been working fast and furiously at getting this boat in the water, and things are starting to come together. Last week I had a nice woodworking task. I made the teak caps over the cockpit coaming, and I still have to finesse the details. I have to recess the screws, actually Sikaflex down the caps. I really like how these caps came to be, so now let's just finish off the task by actually bond them to the coaming and have them in for good. Now let's turn our attention onto a new task. It's going to also be an aesthetically pleasing one, and I am talking about the rub rail. We have now external chain plates, so the rub rail will need to have a little bit of wood removed around the chain plates. I brought out the rub rail, and it's time to think on how we actually are going to fasten it back. Now, a while back, just in theory, I wanted to eliminate all the through bolts that hold it in place, because they could also be the culprit for some of the water coming in. I don't think a big one. But anyway, my initial idea was to glue weld nuts into the hull and to use those to get to be able to tension the bolts, and then have something like 5200 or structural Sikaflex cure, and that's how it's actually held. But just because time is of the essence now, I am going back to actually just putting in bolts. I think we did a really good job putting in the blocks. There is no voids because they are through bolted through the blocks. The rub rails are really heavy and under a lot of tension. So that is why I just reverted to through bolting again, but we are going to use much less bolts. So yeah, it's critical to have some at the front, some at the center, and some at the back, but then I'm skipping many because the rub rail with the tension is still adhering nicely against the hull everywhere, even if you don't apply pressure every foot or so. The process started with just getting the rub rail out here, and then the only reference that I have right now, because I kind of have to know what is inside and what is outside, so the only reference are the holes for the chain plates, and from those I measured where the bolts used to be on the rub rail, and I transferred the whole map to the inside to actually see where can we have one and where not. We made some modifications. We have an extra beam in the galley, and that ended up being exactly where a bolt used to be. So it's not like I just drilled again through all the old fastener locations. So I had to kind of make this map on the inside. And then with this map, I decided which ones are risky, which ones don't I like, which ones we shouldn't do, and then marked the ones that indeed are going to get a through bolt to have a nice pattern, like I said. Definitely some at the front, some at the end, and then some sprinkled in the middle.
Da primeira vez que eu te vi, menina, meu coração pulou pra boca. Da primeira vez que eu te vi, menina, meu coração pulou pra boca. Corpo assim não se vê nem na revista, nem no TikTok, nem no Instagram de artista. Corpo de mestiça, de tanta coisa boa, te quero dar beijo. coração pulou pra boca. Da primeira vez que eu te vi, menina, meu coração pulou pra boca. Copão assim não se vê nem na revista.
It's actually a pretty good coincidence that the chain plates are not installed yet. Those aren't installed because we're still waiting for fasteners, but it also makes dry fitting the rub rail easier with the chain plates off so that I can mark and continue. That is very satisfying to finally see the rub rail on again. It's a solid piece of ironwood. Really nice. So I still have some work ahead, but it's dry fitted into place. So I mean, you already get the visual as if it was in place for good. But next step, like I said, now that it is dry fitted, is to mark the location of the new chain plates so that I can make room for them and take away some material. But the bolts, the holes are drilled. Soon I can tape around it and then do the final installation. It's really only about hogging out where the chain plates go for now.
Revista, nem no TikTok, no Instagram de artista. Corpo de mestiça, de tanta coisa boa. Te quero dar beijo na garoa. Te quero dar beijo na garoa. Te quero dar beijo na garoa.
It's a beautiful day to continue working on the rub rail. I'm onto starboard now. So to allow the rub rail to fit over the chain plates, I fit the rub rail first, dry fit it onto the hole where it belongs, and then I sort of held the chain plates in place just to get those marks and see where I have to make those notches. I traced out the silhouettes of where those cutouts have to be, and I marked the depth. I used the Dremel to make the cuts, and it is not a very traditional approach, but I thought that it would work just as well, and that it would get results faster, which indeed it did. And it also left me with rounded corners, which fits over the chain plate shape a little better. So yeah, it was mostly just a decision because time is of the essence, but I'm pleased with how well it worked. The traditional way, I guess, would be more with chisels and saws and yeah, removing a little at a time, and then you round the corner with a file at the very end. I guess that's what Brian would have done. Japanese saw, chisel and file. Now I'm still waiting on nuts, but very soon the chain plates can go in, and then the rub rail can go in since it's now ready. And you can see it's behind me here on the table, and I've also glued together the scarf. That is because I had the two rub rail pieces separate when I dry fitted them, and they are very strong, and so I couldn't get the scarf to line up perfectly when it's under tension, when it's bent. So now that it's down again, I figured I'm going to glue the scarf together, and hopefully that will help in having everything aligned. Once it goes in place, I just have to maneuver around with it a lot more gingerly, because it is about, well, 20 feet long, 10 feet each section, so even with the glued scarf, it's a weak point. I'll have to keep that in mind when I maneuver it back in place. Maya wanted to sand it. I didn't care too much because what I like about the rub rail is that the ironwood will gray out, and so will the teak, because I've put in teak bungs now. I didn't have ironwood to duplicate the bungs, but it will all match once it grays out. But right now it's a patchy color of a little bit of red. Anyway, so that's still happening.
So I decided that I did want to sand the rub rail just to give it an even color. It really did look really patchwork because Aladino had sanded around the spot where the fasteners go in, but not the rest of it. And I don't know, it's a nice aesthetic part of the boat, so I wanted it to look good, and I'm glad that I did that. We also got a really exciting box in the mail. So the reason why, well, the chain plates and the rub rail haven't been installed yet permanently is because we have been trying to find the right fasteners. That's proven really difficult. We just weren't able to find them locally because we need specific material and specific lengths and sizes. And then our friend John from Living for Sale, he's got another YouTube channel, he recommended that we check out Bolt Depot. They are based in the States, but I looked into it because it's sometimes tricky getting things shipped up from the States to Canada. If they don't ship it correctly or just with a little bit more pre-planning, you can really be strapped with a lot of duties at the border. And Bolt Depot has that worked out pretty well. So that was really good. Big relief for Canadians. If you're American, you don't have to worry about it. But they also just have a massive selection of bolts and fasteners that are normally really difficult to find. They can do custom sizes and stuff. And we reached out to them, and they actually donated a box of very specialized and custom fasteners to us, which is pretty amazing. So they sent us the fasteners that we need for the rub rail, so that's good. That can finally be installed properly. And they would have had the bolts for the chain plates, but we actually got those from a different source before we found Bolt Depot. Our friend Brock reached out to us, and you might recognize that name because he also donated the teak that we've been using to make, the cockpit combings and everything. And he had some bronze carriage bolts that he sent us for the chain plates. So both those things sort of arrived quite near each other, and so we finally got the fasteners we need to make this all happen, which is pretty exciting. And I'm going to let Aladino open the Bolt Depot box now because I know he's really looking forward to that.
There's even a little guide. I already have these though. That's awesome though. Wow, cool. You know what these are?
No.
These are to find out what fastener you need. On one side you have the thread, on one side you have the male, and on one side you have the female. So if you have a fastener, you can check in this part what fastener it is, and wherever it goes in nicely by hand without an impact driver, then you know, oh, it's a 1/2 inch 20. That's very thoughtful. Nice. So here's one of the specialized ones. These are 1/4 inch 20 and 4.5 inches long. So that is what gets harder to find, and those are for our rub rails. The rub rail is pretty wide, and then it goes through the hull, it goes through the blocking in here. That's why we require this extra length.
Huge thanks to Bolt Depot. I'm really impressed with their selection. So yeah, thanks a lot for sending out these fasteners. I'm really excited to finish up these tasks now that we have all the needed hardware. All the groundwork has now been laid. The backing plates for the chain plates are bonded to the hull, the holes are drilled. Same for the rub rail, the notches have been made so that it fits around the chain plates and tight against the hull, and the holes are drilled. So all that it's missing, it's the final installation now. And I'm sorry to leave you on a cliffhanger, but that's not going to happen this week. I actually have to finish off my week by doing a little bit of homework and research. And that's all in preparation for next week's episode, which I'm really excited for. That's all going to be about rigging. We will be going on a little field trip, and we're going to have somebody in charge who knows a lot more than I do about rigging. It will be very nice to have the change of scenery for the videos, and also we'll have a new character to introduce you to.
Thank you very much for being here, and yes, like Aladino said, next week's episode I'm really looking forward to. A little field trip, new character, and new topic. We have not talked about rigging really at all throughout this whole refit because we've had no need to. There has been no mast, and while there's still no mast, we're getting pretty close to the time where there will be a mast, and that's pretty great. All right, so we'll see you all next Friday, as always, and in the meantime, a huge thank you for being here. We are so appreciative that you tune in every week and have followed this whole journey with us. I know it's been a long road for you and for us, and we're getting to the exciting culmination of of all the work that's been going on. So thanks for being here. Really big thank you to the folks whose names are now appearing on screen for always going above and beyond to make sure that Magic Carpet keeps being produced. And a really, really big thank you to all of our patrons for always going the extra mile to make sure that, yeah, this happens every single week. We couldn't do it without you guys. If you're interested in real-time updates and what we're up to, yeah, in real time, we post real-time walkthroughs of the boat every Tuesday or Wednesday, every week at least. The timing gets muddled depending on the week, but around there. And we just show you guys around what we're currently working on because these YouTube videos are always a bit delayed behind real time. Huge thanks for watching. Leave us a comment. We read them all. Even if we don't respond to them, we really do read them all, and we love getting to hear what you guys are thinking and what you have to say. All right, I think that's all from us now. Talk to you next Friday. Bye.